The meeting is called to order. I'd like to call upon Freeholder Luciano to lead the salute.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
A moment of silence, please. Thank you. I will call upon Father Benny Prado of St. Teresa, Calcutta Parish, to lead in the opening prayer. Father Prado, and I'm going to ask everyone to stand for this opening prayer.
Let us pray. God of all creation, we come before you today to give you honor and praise. You are worthy of praise. You are the source of all that is good. You are the source of all our blessings. Thank you for every gift that we have been given. We thank you for the opportunity to come and gather together tonight. We ask you, Lord, for your blessing upon our community leaders. We ask that you will guide them and direct their lives as they serve you through your people. We ask that you will guide their thoughts and actions so that they may successfully accomplish their vision of service to our people. And we pray these things in your mighty name. Amen.
Amen. I have before me certification from the clerk that this meeting is in compliance with the Open Public Meeting Act. I will now take roll call. Freeholder Cooper, absent. Freeholder Graham. Here. Freeholder Johnson. Here. Freeholder Luciano.
Here.
Freeholder Mercado.
Here.
Freeholder Pomares.
Here.
Freeholder Richardson.
Here.
Freeholder Siebel.
Here.
Freeholder Gill.
Here.
At this time, freeholders, I will entertain nominations for the position of President of the Board for 2020. Freeholder Johnson.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I would like to nominate my friend. He's been a great leader during the last 2 years, and I think if it's not broke, you should continue to move forward. And we've been moving forward pretty good with our President, Brendan Gill.
Okay, thank you, Freeholder Johnson. Freeholders, do I hear a second on the nomination of Freeholder Gill for President? Freeholder Pomares.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. It'd be an honor for me to second the motion to nominate Brendan Gill as president of this board. The president has served in this capacity very admirably. It hasn't always been easy, as public service is not easy by nature, and he's done, I think, a fantastic job of leading this group, being very attentive to the needs of the members of the board, taking consideration, suggestions, and for those reasons and for the same shared by my colleague, Freeholder Johnson, I'd like to second the motion.
Thank you, Freeholder Pomares. May I have a second nomination for the second for Freeholder Gill? Freeholder Graham.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Clerk. I'm honored to second the nomination for Freeholder Brendan Gill as President of the Essex County Board of Children Freeholders for 2020. Freeholder Gill has proven himself as a leader and successfully led the board through many triumphs and trials. In the short time of myself being on the board, I've seen him go above and beyond the call of duty. Our relationship with the executive and administration has been strengthened under his leadership, and I am proud to formally second his nomination for the 2020 term as president of the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Freeholder Graham. Freeholders, are there any additional nominations for president? Seeing none, that there are no further nominations for the position of president. Freeholders, do I have a motion to close the nominations?
I'll move it.
Second.
Moved by Freeholder Johnson, second by Freeholder Graham. I'm going to call the roll. Freeholder Cooper, absent Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares.
Yes.
Freeholder Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Sebo.
Yes.
Freeholder Gill.
Yes.
So moved. Okay. We have the vote on the, we had the vote on the nomination. That was to close the nominations. All those in favor, okay, freeholders, we will now vote on the nomination for Freeholder Gill as president. Freeholder
Want to make sure
Cooper?
that first one was serious.
Yep. Freeholder Graham?
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson?
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano?
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado? Freeholder
Yes.
Pomares?
Yes.
Freeholder Richardson?
Yes.
Freeholder Sebo? Freeholder President Gill?
Yes.
So moved. Yay!
Now,
At this point, I ask Judge Paganelli to administer the oath of office to Freeholder Gill. Freeholder Gill has also requested Freeholder Essex County Democratic Chair to stand with him, and the Mayor of Montclair, Robert Jackson, to stand with him, and the County Executive, Joe D. Bazinga. Okay.
So you want it?
Just going to repeat after me. I'm going to make this easy. I state your name.
I, Brendan W. Gill,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
or affirm that I
or affirm that I
will support the Constitution
will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the same
to the same
and to the governments established in the United
and
States
to the governments established in the United States
and in this state.
and in this state.
I state your name,
I, Brendan W. Gill,
having been elected
having been elected
President of the Board of Chosen Freeholders
President of the Board of Chosen Freeholders
in and for the State of New Jersey,
in and for the State of New Jersey,
do solemnly promise and swear
do solemnly promise and swear
that I will faithfully,
that I will faithfully, impartially,
and justly
perform
all the duties of President of the Board of Chosen Freeholders
perform all the duties of the President of the Board of Chosen Freeholders
in and for the State of New Jersey,
in and for the State of New Jersey,
according to the best of my ability
according to the best of my abilities
and understanding.
and understanding,
So help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
Mr. President, would you like me to continue? I would like to take privilege of the chair to take this out of order. Mr. Chairman, would you like to say a few words? Yes. I take-
You guys seem to do that on the simplest things, like closed nominations, and there's a big applause. But let me just say, again, Happy New Year to everyone, and to our good friend Brendan Gill, who has been once again elected as president of this august body. Ladies and gentlemen, members of the Board of Freeholders, county executive, mayors from around the county, particularly our host mayor, well, not host mayor, but our mayor from Montclair, who stood here, to witness this occasion. We are all part and parcel of the governing body of the County of Essex. The county executive has had an aggressive agenda since he has been county executive. The Board of Freeholders have been, able partners in that quest and that mission. And I trust that, that will continue under the leadership of Brendan Gill, and I suspect, there will be a unanimous accolade for, Wayne Richardson to be reelected as Vice President of this board. We are all entrusted by the people, county executive, president and vice president, and members of the board of chosen freeholders, to the 800,000 people of this county, to the 3,500 employees that day in and day out toil, and give their best for this county. Today marks, another year to continue that crusade of good government. So I'm asking that, you all continue to embrace, unity, trust, and public service in the best interest of the people. Brendan Gill, my good friend, congratulations. You've been a good president. You'll serve again, with distinction this next year. And, that goes the same, for my good friend Wayne Richardson and all the members of the Board of Chosen Freeholders. Thank you so much for all that you do. Thank you so much, Joe, for all that you do. And thank you so much for the 3,500 employees that are represented here, by this, by this fine administration. Thank you.
We will now move to the nomination and election of Vice President. Freeholders, at this time, I will entertain nominations for the position of Vice President of the Board for 2020. Freeholder Mercado.
Thank you, Madam Clerk, and good evening to everyone. It is my distinct honor to nominate my friend and colleague, Freeholder Wayne Richardson, as Vice President of the Essex County Board of Chosen Freeholders for this 2020 term. Freeholder Richardson has distinguished himself as a professional. He has a strong track record of supporting the many issues and upholding the standards while serving on this board. He's a leader. He holds us all accountable, and he asks all the tough questions. His interests and values are in the heart of the working class, which is why he devotes his professional time to labor issues. He's a lifelong resident of Essex County, hailing from Newark and North Newark, and my alumnus from Barringer High School. He clearly has the best interests of those at heart. He worked as a business agent for Laborers Local 108 and served as an organizer for the Laborers Eastern Regional Organizing Fund. He serves as president of the Laborers Local 55 and was promoted to lead organizer representing the area that includes New Jersey, Delaware, New York City, and Long Island. He's received many awards and accolades for his work. We are blessed and fortunate to have someone of his caliber serve on this board. It is my distinct honor to nominate and wholeheartedly recommend him to serve as our Vice President, continue to serve as our Vice President for 2020. Thank you.
Thank you, Freeholder Mercado. For the record, I'd like to acknowledge Freeholder Cooper. Do I have a second for the nomination of Freeholder Richardson as Vice President? Freeholder Siebold.
With great pleasure, I am pleased to second the nomination of Wayne Richardson to continue as the Vice President of the Essex County Board of Chosen Freeholders. Wayne Richardson has an extensive background working with various constituents. He is President of Laborers Local 55, a residential construction union. He represents an area that includes New Jersey, Delaware, New York City, and Long Island. His vast background in many other areas makes him well prepared to be the Vice President of the Freeholder Board. Wayne Richardson always cares about what matters most to the residents he represents. He brings a diverse knowledge to this government, and that is why I consider it a pleasure to nominate Wayne Richardson as Vice President of the Freeholder Board.
Thank you, Freeholder Siebold. Freeholders, is there any additional second for Vice President? Freeholder Cooper.
I second the nomination too of Freeholder Wayne Richardson to continue as Vice President of the Board. He's a wonderful labor leader who brings extensive experience and extensive knowledge to the board to help us round out doing the jobs that we do here. So I support you wholeheartedly. Congratulations.
Thank you, Freeholder Cooper. Freeholders, are there any additional nominations for Vice President? Seeing none, there are no further nominations for the position of Vice President.
Madam Clerk, I'd also like to add an extra second, if I may.
Mr. President, you may.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I just wanted to also add an additional second to Vice President Richardson's nomination. Wanted to, one, thank him for serving as a Vice President these last 2 years with me. I think we have both, as been said, these last 2 years have been absolutely invigorating to serve with you. And there were some very nice things said about my leadership, which I greatly appreciate, but none of that would have been possible without the support of a Vice President who's there with you each and every step of the way. So thank you for that, and very pleased to be able to embark on 2020 with you serving, if this vote goes all right, as Vice President of this board. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Freeholder President. As stated, seeing that there are no further nominations for the position of Vice President, Freeholders, do I have a motion to close the nominations?
So move.
Second.
I will take roll. Freeholder Cooper.
Yes.
Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares.
Yes.
Freeholder Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Siebel.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved. All those in favor of, okay, Freeholders, we will get on with the nomination of Vice President as Freeholder Richardson as Vice President. Freeholder Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Siebel.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Cooper.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved. Congratulations. Judge Paganelli will do the honors of swearing in Freeholder Wayne Richardson.
Where's my wife?
She didn't vote for you.
Bible, left hand up. That's it. Yeah, you ready? And then when you cheat, we're going to go like this, right? I'm going to take my gun so it's too far from you. I state your name.
I, Wayne L. Richardson,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the same
to the same
and to the governments established in the United States and in this state.
and to the governments established in the United States and to this state.
I state your name,
I, Wayne L. Richardson,
having been elected
having been elected
Vice President of the Board of Chosen Freeholders
Vice President of the Board of Chosen Freeholders
in and for the State of New Jersey,
in and for the State of New Jersey,
do solemnly promise and swear
do solemnly promise and swear
that I will faithfully,
that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly
and justly
perform all the duties
perform all the duties
of Vice President
of Vice President
of the Board of Chosen
of the
Freeholders
Board of Chosen Freeholders
in and for the State of New Jersey,
in and for the State of New Jersey,
according to the best of my abilities
according to the best of my abilities
and understanding,
and understanding,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank
sir.
you.
No, I think we're gonna bring the county executive.
Yeah, leave the podium.
You can, do- Okay. Again, congratulations, Mr. Vice President. Thank you for your willingness to serve. At this point, he's taken time out of his busy schedule. We're very honored to have him here with us tonight. I'd like to call up our partner in government, our county executive, Joe DiVincenzo, to say a few words, and again, thank him for being here tonight. Our county executive, Joe.
First of all, I want to wish everyone a happy New Year's, to President Gill and to Vice President Wayne Richardson. You know, I was president of this Freeholder Board for 8 years, and I never had a unanimous vote. You two guys, I think, have served the last 3 years as president and vice president, and I'm a little jealous. But you have a lot to be proud of. You know, the last 18 years that I've served as county exec, it hasn't been myself, it's been my team, my administrative team, and my Freeholder team, and the 3,500 employees. But this board right here, the reason we're able to get things done together, and we're never always going to agree on things together, but we will come together and make a decision. But it's because of our relationship. President Gill, Vice President Wayne Richardson, what we have done in this county speaks for itself. You know, you could see the things you could touch the things that we have done. But the most important thing that we've done for this county, that has always been a problem for this county, was keeping our own financial house in order. And that's what's been accomplished for the last 18 years. What we have done, going from junk bonds, all right, to a AAA bond rating. If our financial house wasn't in order, we would not be able to do the projects that we're doing throughout the county from one end to the other end. And that took a lot of work. And the only reason it was working is because we had the Freeholder Board, the President, Vice President, and all the Freeholder Boards working together as a team. And it's just not about us. We also have great constitutional officers that work with us. The 3,500 employees, and when I took the oath of office, when I was county exec, my most important thing is to make sure I keep them working. In 18 years, we went through ups and downs. We never laid off one employee. That's not only from the administration side, that's from your side, because your chief responsibility is the budget. So let's continue to work together as a team. President Gill, you are someone who knows every level of government, locally, county, state, and federal. You have a lot of background, you have a lot of knowledge, and of course I respect your opinion on how we get things done. And we're very lucky to have you as president. Wayne Richardson, it speaks for itself. There's nobody who works harder than Wayne Richardson. And Wayne Richardson doesn't do it because he's an elected official. He does it because he bleeds Essex County, he bleeds Newark. And that's first and foremost. He puts the 800,000 residents first all the time. And Wayne, I just want to thank you. You have been a great friend. I know your family very, very well. And you've been absolutely the best. And to all the freeholders, thank you for your support. The only way you get things done is working as a team. And that's what I'm committed to, continue to work as a team. Thank you, President Gill.
Thank you. Good evening. Again. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. There we go. We've got a lot of swearing-ins tonight, so we got to keep the energy level up. First and foremost, Happy New Year to everyone who is here. To the county executive, I wanted to say thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for those words and remarks. You know, I've had an opportunity to serve as a leadership now on this board for 2 years and to work closely with your administration, have an opportunity to work with your the government that you've led over many years now. And this county is one of the best in the state. There's no question about that. And you say it, there is no question. And we're lucky to have your leadership and your friendship. So I want you to know that I appreciate that deeply. So thank you. Thank you, Joe, for being here. And I think we need to give County Executive another round of applause. to our constitutional officers, to the fellow freeholders, other elected officials who are assembled here tonight, I want to thank you for your presence. I want to thank Father Benny for taking the time to be here tonight from my home parish in Montclair. He didn't even get a chance to take his coat off before we had him up, but I really appreciate you taking the time to be here, Father. Thank you. To Judge Paganelli and former freeholder, thank you for always being here to do this, even when it's on short notice, but we appreciate you taking the time to do that. And to everyone again who's here, really from the bottom of my heart, thank you for what you have done. I appreciate my colleagues on this board very much, and the fact that they have entrusted me with this awesome task of leading the legislative branch of government, and for having the fortitude, faith, and courage to assume that responsibility alongside me. To Freeholder Graham, I'm going to single you out first. Again, congratulations, since you were sworn in, and this is also your day. We would congratulate you again. You completed the unexpired term of our dear and late, great friend Levy Jones, and in November you won a seat as Freeholder at large, and we're glad to have you on this team. And we again congratulate you on your swearing in. To Freeholder Vice President Wayne Richardson, congratulations to you, being sworn in as another term as Vice President. Your experience as President of Labor Local 55 has been an invaluable resource to this board, as well as your insight to the needs and desires of the working class and community that you represent each and every day. You're a labor leader, first and foremost. This board is lucky to have that voice here each and every day, and I sincerely thank you for everything that you have done, and I look forward to everything that we will accomplish in the year ahead. So thank you. Thank you so much to Vice President Richardson, and congratulations. To Freeholder Johnson, thank you for nominating me. You have been a longtime friend, a mentor, a person who just does it without a lot of fanfare, and does it for all the right reasons. So I'm happy to hear that you've decided to continue in public service, that you've decided to potentially continue your service on this board. You will know you will always have my full support on that, and whatever I can do. So the best to you and your family as we continue in 2022. So thank you, Freeholder Johnson. Freeholder Pomaris, thank you for the second. We have, again, also have known each other for a long time now. And again, a model public servant, even if you are from the rival community of Bloomfield. But a little Montclair-Bloomfield rivalry always exists. But, Freeholder Pomaris also has a very unassuming style, which I really and deeply appreciate. And I always appreciate the time that you take to reach out when you know things are tough, because it's in this business and in public service, it's easy to get those pats on the back when things are going well, but it's much harder, to reach out to someone when things aren't, maybe going the way you would like them to go. So I deeply appreciate that, and so thank you, Freeholder Pomaris, for everything that you have done. To Freeholder Luciano, thank you always for your friendship. I know you're District 4. You don't even have to hold up the 4, the 4 anymore. But we give Freeholder Luciano a hard time from time to time on this board. But I want you to know that I don't ever take your friendship for granted, your public service, for granted, and never stop. I don't think we have to worry about this, but never stop being you. No matter how many times some people tell you maybe to stop being you, don't ever stop being you. But I deeply appreciate everything, that you bring to this board. Freeholder Mercado, it's been a pleasure to get to know you better. You came to this board with already a well-established reputation. Again, a commitment to public service, a commitment to serve the community which you live in and represent. I also love the fact that we're both Mets fans, so we can commiserate together. But I really appreciate getting to know you better And again, you've extended an open arm to me and an open hand to work together, and I will never forget that. So thank you, Freeholder Mercado. To Freeholder Siebold. Freeholder Siebold is the longest-serving member of this body. I believe maybe potentially the longest-serving member, or close, potentially in the history of our county, to serve on this board. And she sometimes takes some ribbing around that fact, but I actually highlight that as the highest compliment. She has been, as the highest compliment. She has been committed to this board for a long, long time, and many of the accomplishments in the areas of open space and in the environment, things in our parks, things that we talk about quite a bit, that our county executive talks about quite a bit, but none of those things would be possible. They would not be possible without your support and hard work on those issues each and every day. And those issues affect the quality of the life of our residents here in this county, and you should be recognized for that and congratulated for that and for your service. So thank you. Thank you, Freeholder Siebold, and thank you for your support. It means the world. Freeholder Cooper, getting to know each other, which has been great. You again also come with a reputation that precedes you from your past experience at the local level. But I've really enjoyed our relationship, working together. I enjoy the fact when you're ready and willing to speak out. So you jumped right in, which is great. And I say that sincerely. The board is better for it. I know you're going to continue to do an excellent job. We're all pulling for you, from the bottom of our hearts to make sure that you're here. So let's make sure that, we're going to do whatever we can to make sure that you're here and that you're able to serve. So again, thank you for support, sincerely, and I look forward to a successful 2020 serving with you. So to each of you, thank you, for being there. I know he had to run, but to our county chairman, I also want to just recognize our Democratic chairman, Leroy Jones, and his wife, Jackie. I want to thank them for giving me the opportunity to serve, to lead this board, and also just for always being available for support in moving this county's agenda forward. To also my friend and colleague, who I'm proud to also be his constituent as well, the mayor of Montclair, Robert Jackson. Mayor, again, thank you. I can't thank you enough for just always taking the time, not only to, first of all, to help. You were running back up on potentially administering the oath, which I deeply appreciate, but also, just to stand with me as a friend. So, we're the mayor and I are Montclair natives. We first and foremost bleed Montclair, but more importantly, I don't think people realize just how lucky we are to have a person of Robert Jackson's pedigree serving as our business administrator. There's a lot of things that Mayor Jackson could be doing, or could be doing, and you choose to do this, and we're all lucky for that. So thank you, thank you, Mayor Jackson, for all your help and all your support. Wanted to thank my wife, my kids. You can see how much they cared about this. They didn't even bother to show up. So just for the record, Karen, send this part. I really love them, and I'll be talking to them about that later. But an 11-year-old and an 8-year-old have schedules that I guess are more busy, busier than your average elected official. But none of this is possible without home support, and I'm lucky to have a lot of it. Both with my wife and my children. So I just wanted to publicly acknowledge them. I also, of course, wanted to publicly acknowledge my parents as well, who also thought that this was such an important thing that they decided not to come. But I'm lucky that both of my parents are still active, still living. Probably many of you probably get tired of hearing about Mr. Gill, and his own experience, but he's doing his 50th year. It's the reason he's not here, because he's home grading papers, as he does his 50th year as a public school teacher in the Montclair Public Schools. So, but none of this would be possible to participate without their love and support and their influence. So, Mom and Dad, if you end up watching this on Channel 34, I love you. As I enter, this is actually my 9th year on the board and my 3rd year as president, and I can reflect on the many of opportunities that I've had to work alongside many of you within the administration, the division and department heads who have come before this board in these very chambers, to our 3,500 employees. You know, you have all been a part of and can share in the success of what makes Essex County a wonderful place to live, work, and play. We have moved forward many projects, as the county executive noted, that have improved the safety, landscape, and quality of life that the people of Essex County so richly deserve. So serving as the president for the past 2 years has been both challenging and rewarding. Of course, we recognize that there are many areas of improvement that we still meet. Of course, we recognize that there are challenges, but we look at these challenges as opportunities to be creative and to constantly reinvent this county and ourselves to be better. In 2019, with a joint effort with many of you here tonight, with our administration, we created, which I am very proud of, the first independent citizen oversight task force of the Essex County Correctional Facility. It's the first of the nation, the first of its kind, and I think it will enhance the quality of this county. And I'm proud and want to thank my Freeholder board, and this Freeholder, not my Freeholder board, but this Freeholder board, for being a part of that process and for supporting both Vice President Richardson and I in every step of the way in its creation. We also, as our county executive noted, did something that we were able to do as a result of the many tough decisions that we've had to make in years past, but have now put us in this position to be AAA bond rated. We joined with the City of Newark and the State of New Jersey in an unprecedented partnership to finance and replace the lead water lines here in the City of Newark. It is an unprecedented project, an unprecedented accomplishment. I think the administration should be congratulated for their work on that, and I was proud to serve with you and as a partner on that project, and I think that deserves a round of applause. This board also made and chose to speak out on tough issues that sometimes were not necessarily county specific. In November, this board was proud to sponsor a resolution supporting the advancement and passing of Bill A4743, which will provide driver's licenses for undocumented residents of New Jersey. Many of our constituents came to us about that issue. That bill has now since been passed and signed into law by Governor Murphy, and I want to congratulate and thank the board for their support on that issue. We have been an advocate of the implementation of voting machines that require signed paper ballots and calling for federal funding for all states to enhance security measures around the voting process. So I'm again honored to have been working with many citizens and constituents who I see in the audience tonight on that issue, and I hope that the board will be taking some proactive steps tonight to make that a reality. So thank you for everything that you've done on that issue. And finally, and these are just a snapshot and a couple of things that I wanted to highlight, but finally, we have listened to the needs of even the least of these, those who do not have a speaking voice. And I do not see her in the audience yet, but I know she probably potentially will be here. But we attempted and we will continue to address the needs of the feral cat population with the with the support of the Trap, Neuter, and Return Policy, or TNR, which we initiated to save the lives of cats while preserving future generations. And I don't see Charlotte in the audience, but we've had a dedicated constituent who is always here, and I want to just again congratulate the board for their responsiveness on that issue. I also, as a non-PAT person, learned more about TNR than I ever thought I would need to know, but in all seriousness, it's something that I think is going to make a difference, and I want to thank the board for taking leadership on that issue. Those are just a few of the issues that we have addressed in 2019. And although many issues are ongoing, I'm committed to helping keeping our Essex County residents' best interests at heart, and will do all that I can to ensure goodwill and good governance. As a board, we will remain visible, vigilant, and transparent as much as we can via our social media platforms, our website, and just general accessibility. I will continue to take great pride in our collaborative work with our county executive and this administration. Another highlight, we were happy to reacquire ownership of the Police Academy from the Essex County College, as well as serve many upgrades to our parks and open space and areas. The list goes on and on and on of accomplishments, but we cannot rest. So as we bring this to a close, please know that I appreciate the trust that my fellow freeholders have placed in me. I appreciate the opportunity to lead this board into 2020. And sincerely, I don't take that for granted. It's, you know, even on the tough nights when you come home at 1 in the morning and you may have missed certain things or made certain sacrifices, you make those sacrifices for the betterment of our community. And you do it for the betterment of our community. And it's an honor and a privilege to be able to serve. And I will never forget that it's an honor and a privilege. I will never forget that the voters have entrusted in me that responsibility. So I look forward to a healthy and happy 2020, wishing everyone all the best and a happy and healthy new year. Thank you so much.
To the county exec, constitutional officers, President Gill, and my fellow freeholders, elected officials who are assembled here, good evening. This evening, I am honored and humbled to once again accept the office of Vice President to this board. First, I am thankful for the opportunity and the ability to serve. Secondly, I want to thank my colleagues on the board who each bring varied and unique gifts and talents to the table. Our diversity mirrors the community and allows us to remain relevant as a board. We not only can emphasize, but we can also affect necessary change. To President Gill, congratulations on another term as president. It has been inspiring working beside you. I know what you were able to accomplish in 2019, and I am encouraged about the many opportunities 2020 will hold. Again, I thank you for your leadership, your friendship, and your confidence in me to lead alongside you.
Thank you.
To my wife, Antoinette, I want to thank you for always being there in sickness and in health. And right now, I'm under the weather. She's been taking good care of me. She made homemade soup and everything. So thank you. Thank you. And she keeps me grounded. A true partner. To the county exec, thank you for your stellar management of the day-to-day business of the county, which is proven through the many accomplishments we have seen and support. It is a privilege to be in leadership on the board and work with you personally. I realize firsthand the fruits of our labor, and I look forward to maintaining that relationship, and thank you again. To Chairman Jones, who had to leave, just want to thank him for his support and his confidence in me, and giving me the opportunity to be here. Thank you to the administration, the division, and department heads who put the time and effort in so that the board can confidently affirm resolutions and contracts that are presented, knowing due diligence has been upheld. And I want to apologize to all of you who I kind of come on too strong sometimes, but it's the passion in me trying to get answers. So it's not personal. So I'm not telling you that I'm going to stop. It will continue in 2020, but understand it's my passion. As we embark on the new year, I am humble and honored once again to serve as the vice president on the board, and I believe we are well prepared to combat challenges ahead, knowing our efforts combined with the administration sets us apart. I also want to thank the mayors in my district, District 2, who have made themselves available to work collaboratively on common interests and goals. So thank you to Mayor Raz Baraka, Newark, Irvington Mayor Tony Voss, and newly elected Mayor Frank McGahey. As president of the Laborers Local 55, it has been my life's goal to fight for civil rights and the well-being of the working class people. I am privileged to continue this work as a public servant. Together, we have moved forward many projects that have improved the quality of life for our constituents. It is my goal to continue this trend through 2020. As I close, once again, I thank each of you for your vote of confidence, and I look forward to a productive year of maintaining our standards of good governance. Thank you all, and God bless.
Thank you, Vice President Richardson. Madam Clerk, at this point, we will continue with the agenda. Madam Clerk, let's move to Resolution 1. Please read Resolution number 1.
Resolution 1, Essex County Board of Chosen Freeholders bylaws.
Okay. Freeholders, do I have a motion and a second?
I'll move it.
Moved by Freeholder Siebold, second by Freeholder Mercado. Freeholders, do we have any roll call, Madam Clerk?
Freeholder Cooper.
Yes.
Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Siebel.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. Moving to Resolution number 2, Freeholders, Resolution number 2, Madam Clerk, please read it.
Resolution 2, Annual Schedule of Meetings, adoption.
Okay, Freeholders, do I have a motion and a second?
Second.
Moved by Freeholder Johnson, second by Freeholder Luciano. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Siebel.
Yes.
Freeholder Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson. Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Cooper. Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Okay, Madam Clerk, moving to Resolution number 3, please read it.
Resolution 3, official newspapers to receive public notice designation, the Star Ledger, the North Jersey newspapers,
Koki.
Koki, thank you, and Morel community newspapers.
Freeholders, do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Moved by Freeholder Cooper, second by Freeholder
Mercado.
Mercado. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Cooper.
Yes.
Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Siebel.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Okay. Moving to Resolution number 4, Madam Clerk, please read it.
Resolution 4, cash management plan designation of depositories for 2020.
Okay, Freeholders, do I have a motion and a second?
Motion.
Second.
Moved by Freeholder Johnson, second by Freeholder Graham. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Siebel.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Cooper.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Okay, moving to Resolution number 5.
Resolution number 5, appointment of freeholder representatives to the New Jersey Association of Counties, NJAC for 2020.
Okay, do I have a motion? Mover and a second?
Move it.
Second.
Moved by Vice President Richardson, second by Freeholder Graham. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Cooper.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Siebel.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Moving to Resolution number 6.
Resolution number 6, 2020 temporary budget.
Freeholders, do I have a motion and a second?
So,
Moved by Freeholder Cooper.
Second.
Second by Freeholder Mercado. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Siebel.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Cooper. Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Okay. Before we ask Father Benny to lead us in the benediction and adjourn the meeting, we will still be having, we will take a brief recess before convening our conference board meeting, correct, Madam Clerk?
Mr. President, a 5-minute break?
5-minute break works. To tell you how much, I will say one final thing about my family, to tell you how focused they are on this. I thought I just received a text message from my father to congratulate me, and it's actually him complaining about the New York Giants football coach hire. Priorities. With that, Father Benny, could I ask you to please lead us in a benediction to close us out?
Please stand. Let us pray. God of power and might, wisdom and justice, we come tonight in prayer and thanksgiving to ask you to assist our leaders with your spirit of counsel, fortitude, and wisdom as they work for the common good of our people. May they always seek the way of righteousness, justice, and mercy. Grant that they may be enabled by your powerful protection to lead our communities with honesty and integrity. In a very special way, tonight we pray together for our men and women serving in the military. May you always protect them so they may come back home safely to their loved one. We pray for our nation and for our world in need of peace. And we ask this and all our prayers in your name. Amen.
Thank you, Father. Before I ask for a motion to adjourn the meeting, I would like to ask that the members of the boards who have been appointed to freeholder committees to continue to do so until we approve the committees for 2020. Okay. And freeholders, do I have a motion to adjourn the reorganization meeting? We'll reconvene in 5 minutes for our conference board meeting.
Motion. Second.
Okay, moved by freeholder Cooper and seconded by freeholder Graham.
Graham.
Do we need to take a roll call, Michael? Or?
Yes.
Okay. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Cooper. Yes. Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Siebel.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes. Okay, thank you. This meeting of the Essex County Board of Chosen Freeholders is hereby called to order. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Freeholder Cooper.
Here.
Freeholder Graham.
Here.
Freeholder Luciano.
Here.
Freeholder Johnson, absent. Freeholder Mercado.
Here.
Freeholder Pomares.
Here.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson, absent. Freeholder Siebel.
Here.
Freeholder President Gill.
Here. I have before me certification from the clerk that this meeting is in compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act. Madam Clerk, are there any transcripts to be approved?
Mr. President, there are none.
Okay, Madam Clerk, are there any topics of discussion?
Mr. President, there are none.
Okay, let's move to public comment session. Tonight's meeting is a combined conference board meeting, and we'll vote on every item on the agenda. So if there's any member of the public who would like to comment on agenda items only, please come to the microphone and state your name and affiliation for the records. You will have 3 minutes to speak. There will be a time later in the evening for public comment on any other items. So I ask that you please limit your comments at this time to agenda items only.
Good evening, freeholders.
Good evening.
Happy New Year. My name is Whitney Strube from Newark, New Jersey. I'm the co-chair of the North Jersey Democratic Socialists of America. And I'm going to speak to agenda item number 7. I'm going to do so in protest of the moving of the open public comment to the end, which is a very clear effort to suppress democratic participation in our county government that forces us to be somewhat disingenuous. However, because agenda item number 7 is about the Department of Parks, Rec, and Cultural Affairs, which is funded with money from the ICE contract, I would like to address the fact that in looking at the money being spent for live animal food for Turtleback Zoo for 2020, you're spending $95,000 on that, and that's fine, that's important, we need to feed the animals. That's nearly half of what you're spending on legal resources for immigrant detainees in the Essex County Correctional Facility. which, is again less than 2% of the $50 million you're going to take from ICE this calendar year, as you did last year, as you did the year before, as you've done since signing a contract with them in 2011. And so for the third year that we're attending your Freeholder meetings in protest, I just want to emphasize that we object to funding our county government and funding the parks with money taken from Trump's detention and deportation apparatus, which, as we've said many times, is a form of racist terrorism against our immigrant community members that we object to. And again, I think that's basically most of what I want to say, but I just want to reiterate one more time that, we are not convinced by the rhetoric of keeping immigrants close to their families when you continue to take detainees from the southern border, from Texas, from Georgia, from Alabama. These people are not being kept near their families. This is pure human trafficking for profit. We object to it. And we object to the rhetoric of them being close to their lawyers because, of course, you are not providing them with lawyers. The $250K you're spending is a good start, but it is a very small percentage of what you should be funding for universal representation, en route to ending the contract with ICE. So we will be here at the rest of the meetings. I hope you can move public comment back to the start where it belongs, but we will continue to comment on this, so thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, that's $1 million, but we prorated it.
Good evening, Freeholders. My name is David Harris. I'm from South Orange. I'm co-chair of the Voter Rights Committee of Soma Action. I'm here to congratulate you and to thank the administration as well as the Freeholders. We've been coming here a long time, and it's a real joy, I think, to live in a place where we have the opportunity to speak and we have the opportunity to be heard, and we are actually listened to. We are aware of other counties in other states where the elected officials and the appointed officials have ignored their citizens and the experts their citizens brought forth. Here you did not. And so we are very appreciative of how you have listened to us and how you have acted. These voting machines are going to be, and they are, the best voting machines available to us right now. And the effort by the election officials to make us aware of the trade shows where we could actually go and observe these machines, use them, so we could learn more about them, was an outreach that I thought was extraordinary. And they did it not only once, but twice. And they met with us and listened to us for a long time, and it was a good conversation. It's one of the best political experiences I've ever had in my life. We know we live in difficult political times, but this board and the administration and the actions of the election officials has been a bright light in what has been a very dark time. Thank you.
Good evening. Nice to see you again. Holly Gauthier, co-chair, along with David of the Voting Rights Committee of Soma Action. I can only say in some ways ditto to everything that David said. I commend the board. I commend the administration for taking us seriously, for listening to us, for asking the right questions at the time that we came each time. I know it's hard. I know you all stay late many, many times, and we appreciate all of that. I think one of the things, assuming, and I'm very optimistic, that you will vote yes on item 2, I believe it's resolution, I forget what letter it would be, to approve the purchase of these new voting machines, new voting system. You can be commended for being possibly, and I will say biasedly, the best county in the state with a secure, cost-effective, voter-engaged voting system, starting, I assume, in 2020. As we know, our whole issues of confidence in institutions is being eroded from a variety of sources, and I think the idea of a voter being confident that he or she can mark the ballot and know that it is actually his or her own view put on there is truly commendable. I would also like to say that, speaking for Soma Action, that if there's any way we can help educate the public, I know we can't show up probably at poll days, but if there's any way we could help in any way to help educate the public, to make this transition as easy as possible. There's no such thing as easy, but for a transition perhaps, but we would like to make ourselves available. New York, I don't remember exactly what it was, when they transitioned a few years ago, they made some kind of campaign that said, oh, it's, I don't know if they said it's as easy, but it's 1, 2, 3. Mark your register, get your name, mark your ballot, and put it in the optical scanner. We would like to assist in making the public aware of how to do that so that it will be, as I say, easy as possible. We would also like to know that we can come back to you and to the county administrators who've been so helpful to ask questions about the process as time goes on. Again, thank you all for putting up with us so joyfully over the last many months. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Mary Gallagher of Maplewood. I'm also with Soma Action Voting, as well as with New Jersey Appleseed Public Interest Law Center. I too am here to thank you, to thank the administration, to thank this board for its anticipated approval of this contract to purchase a new voting system, the most secure one available, and it will be the most secure one that any county in New Jersey has. I just hope we can get the rest of them to follow your example. Thank you very much.
Good evening. I'm Katie Singer. I live in Millburn, New Jersey, and I teach at Rutgers Newark. And I'm afraid I'm not here to thank you, at least not yet. I am speaking to agenda number 7 and the money that is recommended to be spent on the zoo, park, etc., that will come from the detention center, which comes from this horrible contract we continue to have with ICE. So we are here to protest it. There are usually many more of us, but this meeting was a little bit under the radar relatively publicly. Even Cat Lady didn't hear about it, I guess. So I'd like to say that I'd like to reiterate the sentiments of the prayer that were said earlier in the evening regarding integrity, honesty. The people with the voting issues seem to have a really positive experience because they got communicated with. I realize they also got their way, they got what they wanted, which seems like a very good thing. But I think a lot of us who are protesting this contract don't feel communicated with at all. And we don't take it personally as people, but we take it personally as residents of this county, that our supposed state county employees who are supposedly working for us don't seem to be working for us. So I guess I have some questions for the very weak compromise that is this Citizens Review Board, or that's not actually the official name, I think it keeps changing. So I have some questions about that, and if there's one source where all of this could be found publicly, I'd love to know that too. But I want to know what the schedule of the meetings are. I want to know who finally is on this board. I want to know if agendas will be made public ahead of time, or at least after the fact. Will there be meeting minutes made public or accessible? How will the public know sort of the evolution and what is happening in this meeting? Or is this committee somehow private and we are not to know what's going on? I'd like to know what sources the public can access to learn about the meeting and what goes on at the committee meetings and how often
30 seconds.
that they occur. Again, part of our frustration, we understand that government moves slowly, and we don't expect, I don't think, the contract to be canceled tomorrow, but because we get no response to speak of except regularly from the president now, we appreciate that, we don't really know what's going on. And I think I speak for all of us when we'd really like a little bit more respect as a constituency and know what's going on. Thank you.
Okay, Madam Clerk, let the record reflect that there is no one wishing to speak at this time. Madam Clerk, do we have any ordinances or resolutions for introduction and first reading?
Yes, Mr. President, we have 3.
Okay, Madam Clerk, please read ordinance number 1 into the record at a later time. Mr. Jackson, ordinance number 1.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the board. Mr. Acker is here to address ordinances 1 through 3.
Thank you, Robert. Mark Acker, Director, Department of Administration and Finance. The first item is the $8.4 million, which is a capital ordinance to provide funding for 2 projects, $600,000 for security scanners, and $3.8 million for the conservation pavilion at Turtleback Zoo. $13,750 is it's part of the county executive's $20 million. There's 3 projects in there. They're identified. The remaining part of the $20 million will come later in the year. The majority of it is for the county college, the Chapter 12 program. But this is the first part of the $20 million, $13,750,000, and the projects will be moved along rather quickly. So that's why the ordinance is being introduced this evening.
Okay, Mr. Parlavecchio.
I don't have any questions.
Mr. McInerney.
Mr. President, there are three pieces to this. There's $4,025,000 set aside for buildings and public works. There's $4,375,000 set aside for parks improvements, and there is $4,750,000 set aside for county highway improvement. That's totals comes to $13,150,000, of which $12,521,000 is the estimated cost of bonds or notes. As Mr. Acker said, this is all part of the self-imposed $20 million authorization of capital authorizations in the county on an annual basis. The balance of that, if I can address that now, is coming from $750,000 for senior buses, another $1.5 million for the police academy, and $1 million for Essex County technological improvements, in addition to $3,750,000 for the college, for the community college. That gives us the $20 million, which we are allocating in full.
Okay. Mr. McInerney, what was the final?
This ordinance here is for $13,150,000. Those are the 3 pieces that I outlined
For number 1, okay.
for number 1.
For number 1.
And the balance, as the business administrator said, will be coming before the board sometime in the future.
Okay. And this is keeping with our annual self-imposed.
It is,
our
and
cap.
what's impressive is that they've already outlined what that $20 million is. So we already know that that's already spoken for.
Right.
And where it's going.
And where it is, okay. Freeholders, any questions or comments? Okay, Freeholders, do I have a motion and a second to introduce ordinance number 1? Moved by Freeholder Siebold, second by Vice President Richardson. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Cooper. Yes. Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Siebold.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Okay, moving to ordinance number 2. Mr. Jackson?
Mr. Acker.
This particular ordinance is providing additional funding for an ordinance that was initially approved by this board at the end of 2018. for the construction of the complex, the new complex at this facility. The initial was $115 million, but again, that was based on estimates. As time has moved on, we have not only estimates, we have actual contracts, we have bids. The total of the 115 needs to be amended by $65 million to take it to $180 million. And again, that not only represents the actual bids versus estimates, but there were some additional projects that were in that overall project, that need to be accounted for as well. So again, this would be providing $65 million to the original 115 for a total of $180 million for the complex construction project at this facility.
Okay.
Mr. Palavecchio?
Just to comment on what Mr. Acker said, this is the new building that was purchased just next door to the historic courthouse, just so everybody's familiar with what buildings we're talking about. I think it's 320, 321, so Washington? University, sorry. University. And a lot of the county offices that are going in there will actually be vacating areas that the county's been renting for a number of years. So it's, while it's a very high ticket item and an expensive undertaking, there are some cost savings that the county is experiencing by bringing these offices back in-house and getting rid of some rental agreements throughout the county, not to mention bringing it within the footprint of the county complex, which has its own convenience and safety features for the employees.
Thank you. Mr. McInerney?
This is a result of the meeting that the Freeholders had with the county executive's office yesterday, where we were going through each itemization of items that were actually in $115 million that now has been increased to $180 million. The vast portion of that is additional square footage required in the buildings that are under construction. In addition to that, there's a $14,500,000 buyout of the previous lease on Rector Street. In addition to that, since we're not taking in any income at this time during a period of time of construction, there's about approximately $7 million of capitalized interest. That means that we will be paying interest in the first year on those bonds out of the bond proceeds. So that comes to the additional $65 million. That brings it to $180 million. At this point in time, we've already sold bonds of $100 million. I'm not too sure if we've gotten anything else out in bands of above and beyond that, but this will definitely be something that we'll see in a bond issue at some point in the future.
Billy Cooper.
Thank you, Mr. President. Question. What is being done? There's a reference in the document to 60 Evergreen Place. Is there renovations being done to 60 Evergreen Place as a part of this?
There are some renovations that are being done, most of it being done by the landlord. There's a small portion of that total cost that we are accepting responsibility for, because some of the things are above and beyond what we're required in the lease. So there's a small portion of that for 60 Evergreen.
All right, thank you.
Freeholder Siebel?
Thank you. I would just like to reiterate something that Mr. McInerney said. I think we're not asking a lot of questions because all of this was explained in detail to us at private meetings that we had with the county executive yesterday. So that's why I think we all understand what this is about and what is happening. So the public shouldn't think that we don't know what's going on. We're all very familiar with what is happening here. Thank you.
Correct.
Mr. President?
Freeholder Cormaris.
Thank you, Mr. President. The project is quite impressive, and I think, as noted by Councilor, that it does eliminate a good number of rentals and enhances the footprint of our facility here, really making it very convenient for our constituents. I just wanted, I guess, to put it on record for the sake of the public that this doesn't impact our AAA bond rating. In fact, it is because of the AAA bond rating that we are able to do such, and undertake such a great project. If you can, just confirm that and elaborate a little bit, what kind of rates we're getting versus others. I mean, what does this mean to have the AAA bond rating, and will it be impacted?
Well, the AAA bond rating, that's the best you can possibly be. You're the most credit-worthy of governmental entities. The chance of you not paying your debt service is nil, and that's recognized by the AAA rating. Well, that's the AAA rating.
With respect to the interest rate, what does this give us a significantly lower interest rate if we were rated lesser?
From a double A or from a double A, it's probably about 15 basis points, 0.15 of 1% less that we would be paying over the life of, and this is going to be a 30-year bond, so it's significant.
Thank you.
Freeholder Siebel.
Thank you. I would like to just add one more final statement. The best thing about this whole project is that it's really going to help the constituents here in Essex County. For example, they won't have to come into this building if they want to go to the 3rd floor. They'll have easy access to a building right here on Martin Luther King Boulevard with plenty of parking, and everything we're doing here means that it will be better for all those who live in Essex County and need help. Thank you.
Thank you. Freeholders, additional questions or comments? Okay, do I have a motion and a second? Moved by Freeholder Siebel, second by Freeholder Mercado to introduce ordinance number 2. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Siebel.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Cooper.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Clerk. We can read ordinances 1, 2, and 3 into the record at a later time. Moving to ordinance number 3. Mr. Jackson.
Mr. Acker.
Thank you, Robert. This ordinance is appropriating $8.4 million from our own money. It's not authorizing debt. It's cash, capital cash that we have on hand. Again, $8.4 million. $600,000 is for some capital equipment, security scanners, and the majority of it is $7.8 million for the construction of a conservation pavilion at Turtleback Zoo, $4 million of which will be offset by state aid, resulting in only a $3.8 million charge to the county. So 7.8 would be the appropriation, 4 million will come from the state, 3.8 would be the balance that the county would have to address.
Okay, Mr. Parlavecchio.
No questions.
Mr. McInerney.
No, I think we also covered this, yesterday in terms of how much the county is going to be responsible for and how much the state is.
Okay. Freeholders, additional questions or comments? Okay, do I have a motion and a second?
I'll move it.
Moved by,
Second.
my head was down, I heard Freeholder Siebel, Freeholder Mercado, and Freeholder Primaris all at the same time. You want me to,
I didn't say anything for the record. It was
Oh,
down to
okay. It was down to 2.
Pick 2.
Mercado, Siebel.
Can, say moved by Freeholder Siebel, second by Freeholder Mercado?
Yes,
Is
that's
that, okay. Thank you. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Cooper.
Yes.
Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Siebel.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. Madam Clerk, do we have any ordinance or resolutions for listing purposes only?
Mr. President, we have none.
Okay. Madam Clerk, do we have any ordinance or resolutions on second reading and public hearing tonight?
Mr. President, we have one. Ordinance number O-2019-00020, ordinance establishing the year 2020 fee schedule of the Essex County Parks and Recreation Facilities.
Okay, Madam Clerk, let's move to ordinance number O-2019-00020. I hereby declare that the public hearing on ordinance O-2019-0002 open. If there's any member of the public who would like to comment for or against this ordinance, please come to the microphone, state your name and affiliation for the record, and you'll have 3 minutes to speak. Okay, Mr. McInerney, do you have any questions or comments?
I do not.
Okay, Mr. Parlavecchio, do you have any questions or comments?
Just to comment that the fee schedule was discussed at the introduction, and this sets forth the rates for the various facilities such as golf course, zoo, and other recreation spots.
Okay. Freeholders, do you have any questions or comments? Okay, freeholders, do I have a motion and a second to close the public hearing? Thank you. On ordinance O-2019-00020, moved by Freeholder Cooper, second by Freeholder Siebold. Do we have the same mover and second?
Yes.
Okay. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Siebold.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Cooper.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. Moving to resolutions, resolution number 1, which we can read into the record at a later time. Mr. Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Again, Mr. Acker is here to address this item.
Again, thanks, Robert. This is the
Please talk into the
adoption
mic.
of the temporary capital budget. Since we have not addressed our 2020 operating budget, which the operating budget always includes the capital budget, since we haven't addressed that as of now, in order for these ordinances to go forward, we have to adopt a temporary capital budget. And that's what this resolution will accomplish.
Thank you. Mr. Parlavecchio?
No questions.
Mr. McInerney?
Mr. President, this is very similar to what we've adopted earlier in our first meeting. The temporary authorization for the current fund budget is very similar, but it's just for capital.
Okay, freeholders, do we have any questions or comments? Okay, do I have a mover and a second?
I'll move, Mr. President. Second.
Moved by Freeholder Cooper, second by Freeholder Pomares. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Siebold.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Cooper.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Okay, thank you. Moving to resolutions number 3 through 5, which we'll read into the record at a later time. Mr. Jackson, resolution number 3.
Mr. President, this is a resolution regarding our commercial property, and
Oh, sorry. You know what? I think I skipped number 2, which would be highly unfortunate.
our risk manager is here to address your issues.
You know what, Mr. Jackson?
Did you skip number 2 intentionally, Mr.
No, I did not skip number 2 intentionally. So, if you would indulge, can we go back to?
Can I read this one?
Yeah, certainly.
Number 2. So let's move back to resolution number 2, which we'll read into the record at a later time. Mr. Jackson.
Thank you again, Mr. President. This item is regarding the acquisition of new voting machines. Ms. Baugh, Ms. Spango, Ms. Vanessa, Mr. Durkin, and I think County Counsel Gassion, as well as a vendor, are here to address this item.
Okay.
Good evening, Edna Baugh, Superintendent of Elections for Essex County. We have, as has been said earlier, had an expo to see a number of machines, and we are recommending that we select the Dominion ImageCast precinct machine to be the new voting machine for Essex County. It is a paper ballot machine with a scanner. The ballots are marked by the voter, read by the scanner, and the goal is to have all districts be able to use this machine no later than the general election in November. If I'm blocking somebody, the machine is in the middle of the chamber floor, and this is what the machine looks like. It is significantly smaller than our current machine, much lighter, much better able to be moved and carried by truckers from our warehouse to the various polling sites. We will conduct voter outreach and education as well as training for poll workers. We will do that as a campaign over the next few months so that the voters have an opportunity to be familiar with the machine prior to it being rolled out. Mr. Jackson.
Yes. I'm going to introduce the vendor.
I'm sorry.
Just introduce the vendor.
Oh, we have several people here from Dominion. We have Nicole Nicolette, who is the Executive Vice President for Dominion Voting, who is here and able to answer any questions with respect to the machine, as well as Howard Kramer, who's a Vice President, Nick Ikomenadis, I did it right earlier, I didn't get it right just now, who is our technical person, as well as Ron Rosario, who is the salesperson. Ms. Nicolette would be happy to answer any questions with respect to the machine that the freeholders might have.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Nicole Nolette, and I am the Executive Vice President of Operations at Dominion Voting Systems. I'm here with the Vice President of Engineering, Nick Ikonomakis, Howard Kramer, the VP of Strategic Opportunities, and our sales lead, Ron Rosania, here in the middle of the room. The operations team, in collaboration with our engineering and sales teams, will be responsible for the full delivery, implementation, and election support here in Essex County. We appreciate your trust and support and look forward to working with you in our ongoing partnership. If you have any questions, I'm here, and the engineering team, the sales team are here to answer any outstanding questions that you have. We're happy to take those now.
Mr. Jackson, perhaps we want to, I don't know if we want to do any demo before we take questions from the board.
Ron?
Yeah, sure. Mr. President, everybody, all the freeholders, thank you for having us. I am a lifelong resident of Essex County, so it's a good thing. So I'll give you just a little walkthrough of what the voters are going to be experiencing in this upcoming year. When the voter comes in to the voting booth, to the voting location, they'll be able to sign the book as they normally would, and they would be issued a ballot, paper ballot for them, pre-printed. They would then carry to a voting booth area where their privacy booths will be set up, where there will also be a writing instrument in there for them. They'll be able to go through the ballot, fill in the ovals, review, make sure everything's correct, and once they're completed, they would leave that area, and on the way towards the door will be one machine for every district. They would simply walk up, and there will be could be a privacy sleeve if they would like. The scanner will accept the ballot either way, front or back, It takes a digital image of both sides of the ballot. It takes it just like a dollar through the Coke machine. It processes, it's scanning both sides, and once it's completed, if voted correctly, you will hear it drop into the bin. At the end of, there it is. At the end of the night, the poll workers would close up the machine. It will print a results tape as your current machines do, so they'll know the results from this particular machine. And they'll bring back that with the memory card, and also on the memory card, not only do you have the human hand-marked paper ballots in the bin that's locked and sealed, you'll also have a digital image of every ballot that has been through the scanner on the memory cards. So there's a lot of backups. So other than that, it's very simple, straightforward. Like someone said earlier, I like the 1, 2, 3. And that's it. Any other questions? Be happy to answer.
Mr. Parlavecchio.
What happens with the hand-marked ballots once the election is over, or once the machine is removed from the polling place?
Those ballots, Mr. Parlavecchio, Mr. Chair, through you to Mr. Parlavecchio, those ballots are kept secure and I'm going to use the word quarantine because the word I want to use is not coming to mind, but they are secured, thank you, impounded for the requisite period until they are no longer needed.
Okay, so in the case of a recount or something, they may be utilized?
That's correct. They are available for a hand recount if necessary.
And they're maintained by your office, Ms.
They're
Ball?
maintained, no, they are maintained by the Board of Elections.
By Board of Elections, okay, thank you. Can I ask one more question while you're standing there? Can these machines be stored in the same location and same conditions as our current machines, or do we need a new location?
They will be stored in the current location that we have in Belleville.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Mr. McInerney. Freeholder Siebel.
The present machines that we have, if the machine has a problem, someone comes to fix it, will the technicians be informed what they have to do to fix one of these machines if it's not working?
If I may, Mr. Chair?
Please.
Staff will be trained to manage the scanner that goes on top of the tub, and they will be able to either make a change at the polling site, or if necessary, they can bring a new scanner to the polling site and voting can continue.
You're not talking about the poll workers, you're talking about a technician.
I'm talking about our staff.
Who will come and take care of it.
Correct.
All right, so they'll have to be called to come to fix it.
Correct.
All right, the other thing, my other question, well, I have two other questions. Will a poll worker stand at this machine when someone goes in to put in the ballot?
No, the poll worker will be within sight of the machine. If the voter indicates he or she needs assistance from the poll worker, they would be able to provide them with assistance, but they will not be, and they'll be approximately where Ron is standing now from the machine, so they can't see what the voter, how the voter is voting.
I'm talking about seeing what they're doing. I'm talking about being there to make sure that they are doing what's correct.
They will be there to provide assistance to the voter if needed.
And my third question has to do with the booths where the people will go to fill in the ballot, because they have to darken in the ovals. And it was indicated that there would be a number of those places at each polling place. And that's what I'm concerned about, because some of the polling places don't have a lot of room. So how are we going to know that there will be enough room there to have these different places for people to do what they have to do? Because I was told it would be more than one place at each polling place.
Good evening. Excuse me. I know your fear because I don't sleep over it, but I have a plan. Sound like Elizabeth Warren now, but
Name
I
for
do
the
have
record,
a plan.
please.
Oh, by the way, I'm Linda Vinessi for the record, clerk of the Essex County Board of Elections. I think a key to this issue is the voter registration for each election district. When I determine the amount of voters that are in each district, that we will order the the privacy booths according to the districts. You don't have the problem that a lot of places have. Your polling places are relatively large. So that shouldn't be an issue in Livingston. I have a meeting, we all have a meeting with the municipal clerks on Thursday, and first on my agenda is to reach out to these wonderful clerks that help us with all the work that we have to implement in elections, for them to please go through their sites. I'm giving them a survey and let them determine, which I was doing before we were getting new machines anyway, because 2020 presidential election is going to be a tremendous turnout. So to alleviate any lines, any confusion, they will let me know where I have issues so that I can reach out to you, to the representatives of that town, and get some feedback on where you think we can go that would be better, or talk to the schools. Hopefully schools will be closed on election day. That's most of our polling places, so we can get a larger room. If that, hopefully that will work. If you have any suggestions, anything further that I can do to make sure it's not confusing, all ears, call me and let me know. Thank you.
Freeholder Palmares.
Thank you, Mr. President. I did have an opportunity on Friday to see the machine. I want to thank the staff that were very accommodating. We did go through testing it. I did vote, if you will, through one of the ballots. We did throw in a flawed ballot, which was quickly rejected by the machine. And the machine the ballot also comes with a privacy folder, so you can walk to the machine and literally feed it. And I found that all to be fine. I found the machine to be fairly simple to use. I don't really have any concerns about the functionality of the machine. I do have several questions since my time there, and I don't know if we all have the answers, but I think it's certainly worth thinking about. So the one thing that I noticed is that the way this machine operates is that with the general ballots, they fall literally into the bottom of the machine. So I just want to hear through the vendor, there is no bin that collects and they fall directly into the machine. It's like having a copy machine or something without anything that falls into it. So then you have to pick them up when there's no collection bin.
No, it's an empty bin. There are two bins inside this tub, if you will. One is a divert bin for any write-ins, for ballots that have write-ins, and the other is an empty bin. So that is what's collecting the ballots once they.
Isn't there also a third one for emergency votes? Yes. So there's three different parts. So at the end of the day, you could potentially have three different ballots or pieces of paper of some sorts. Okay. So the next concern that I had was, when you collect them at the end of the day, I saw two travel totes, if you will. They look like pieces of luggage that were made available. One was fairly simple. You throw everything in it seemed. And one had compartments that were in there. And we don't seem to have a standard issue with this. Is that something that your company does not do? Or are you just offering a third-party carrier tote? Because it would seem to me self-evident that it is critically important that when a poll worker removes up to 3 different kinds of ballots, that they go organized in something that can be secured.
So if I understand your question correctly, you're asking if we use a third-party person to develop the transport bins for the ballots.
Or what do you have? Because I saw 2 different ones and they seem very different.
Yep, so we have many different options that we use for different counties that have different procedures on how they collect their ballots. And so what we want to do is maintain flexibility to be able to respond to your needs and adequately respond to your needs. So we do have several options. They are made by a third party. We can customize options as well if there are other things that work better for Essex County. But we do have many options to be able to be flexible to our customers' needs.
Okay, this may be more for staff. So then at this point, this contract does not include the totes, it's just the machines. Is that correct? Is the totes going to be something that will be purchased later?
The current contract anticipates that we will make a decision on the totes in the future.
So it'll all be together then? You'll have a package deal, machine and totes?
Correct.
Okay, great, thank you. Next question is, will the vendor assist with the education of these new machines to each of the municipalities? It would seem imperative to me that every mayor and council and possibly county committee be educated so that they in turn could be educators as well?
Sure. So the training of all the constituencies within the county is integral to the successful rollout and the successful implementation of this project. And so any sort of live training, webinars, quick reference guides, documentation, all of that is integral to the implementation and is absolutely included and part of our success.
Thank you. So will you be visiting each municipality during a council meeting or meeting such as this to be able to present a machine?
I don't know if it'll be each one, but we will certainly customize the training and the implementation and the rollout to what works best for Essex.
Should you be requested then to attend each of the municipalities to present before the mayor and council? Are you prepared to do that as part of this contract?
So if we have requests to do that, we will absolutely build out the schedule and the implementation and the project plan to work with Essex County.
And that will be included in the cost of this contract?
The implementation and the training is included.
Okay, great, thank you. So my last area is that I share with my colleague, Freeholder Siebold, about the sufficient space. So I know in my district, I don't think that there'd be sufficient space on a very busy election to be able to lay out tables for there to be voting booths. So in the event that that's not, and I understand Linda has a plan already, which I'm glad to hear, if that's not an option and we have to move, will there be sufficient time to be able to mobilize a change of location and then notify the public? When do we estimate that we will determine spaces are going to be okay or not okay, and when can we mobilize to letting the public go? My concern is, obviously, and I know you share this because we spoke about this, we have an April election for school boards, we have May elections for nonpartisans, and then we have June primaries. And so there's, I guess, an opportunity to test as if they were pilots the first couple of elections, but come primary, it becomes busier.
When we change a
Name
polling
for the record,
place-
please.
Linda Von Nessy, Board of Elections. When we change a polling place, unless it's an emergency, which we have had, flooding and Sandy, when we changed 45, 2 days before the election, but we changed them months before and notify the voter, and the county clerk, Chris Durkin, puts it on the sample ballot. Regarding April and May, our goal is to have these machines used in April because it's a slower election, and we can assess. The board workers will get a comfort zone for June, first of all, and we can assess if we have to move. So I'm working nonstop now. I mean, I'm planning my classes. When we did this in 2006, we had around 50 classes for poll workers. The superintendent of elections does the voter outreach. So you can be assured that if we know from April and the May municipals that it's not going to work in that site, we will move it immediately. But we'd rather not move polling places because that really does cause confusion to the voters. And there's not an election in my 35 years that I can see that voter turnout does go down when you change a polling place. So we're going to do everything we can to work with the facilities to stay where we are, unless there is an issue there.
Okay. I agreed. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President, for allowing me to ask questions. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, if I may, Edna Ball, Superintendent of Elections, I want to go back to the question about education and voter outreach with respect to the new machines. The vendor will assist us in training. We will then train more people, and those trainers will go out to the various sites to be able to help both the voters, council members, so there will be, and I hate to use this word, it'll be like a spider's web that spreads out from here out into the entire county.
Thank you.
Joe Mercado.
Yes, I had the opportunity on Friday to see the demonstration, and I'm impressed with the machines. Right, it's pretty simple. So I have no questions about the functionality of the machine. My concern more so is the training of all the poll workers, supervisors, and all the municipal district committee folks that need to understand. And what is the administration's plan on training all of the folks that need to be trained? And is the goal to roll out these new machines for the April elections?
Edna Ball, Superintendent of Elections. The goal is to roll out machines for the school board election in April. With respect to your question about training, the goal is to train as many people as we can to do outreach to all of the constituencies that you just spoke about. We plan to use media, social networking, in-person training, videos, all of that to be able to reach as many people as possible so that people are aware of the new machines and how they function.
So this election is going to be, this is a very important election, as everyone knows, because it's the general election for November and the primary, and the other elections are also important. So change, this new machine is going to change the whole landscape of how we've ever voted before. And it's going to require more time. The voters are going to need more assistance. Do you have the necessary personnel to adequately train all the folks that need to be trained in the time period that we have with an April start date with that election? That's less than 3 months away to do all the necessary training for the personnel, because they're the folks that are on the ground that is going to make this election successful, or at least it minimize the problems that may exist with folks. So a lot of concerns I have. There's senior citizens that are going to require assistance during this election. Are you going to have the necessary personnel at the sites to be able to assist that particular population? There's the handicapped population that require assistance. Again, my colleague and I also had expressed on Friday, have you done an assessment of the polling sites to target those sites that cannot accommodate the new booths that are going to be needed for those particular sites? So you have some sites that have multiple districts within that sites. You have other sites that are open space, those are okay. You have many sites that just don't have the capacity to be able to fit those booths within that particular space.
Well, Linda Von Essie, Clerk of the Board of Elections. In answer to your first question regarding the training of the poll workers, we will have more than one class in every municipality. The city of Newark is totally different. We have them every ward. We also have a machine in this building that we have people that are, if they're not able to attend the class, they can come down and they can have an individual training class. I share your concern. I don't find this machine difficult. I think that we'll be successful. Handicap, we will have someone there to assist handicapped voters that need to use the audio. We statutorily need to have 4 people in the polling place, and if it's a Hispanic district, then we have to have 2 more. Over 1,000 voters, we need 6. Over 1,500 voters, we need 8. Many elections, there is a difficulty finding poll workers. There's a bill right now that's going to hopefully increase their salary to $300 that encourages me that we will get more and better poll workers. So I really encourage you to do anything that you can to get this bill through. Regarding the polling places, we're starting right away on that. Regarding the staff, now it's under the jurisdiction of the Board of Elections to train the poll workers and to find facilities as polling places. I have 5 people in my office. I'm the 6th. I have been told by Dominion Voting, and I have worked with them since I've been in elections. They were previously Sequoia. They have told me I will have everything I need. 10 years ago, I hired someone to assist from Dominion, and he did a wonderful job. We have a video now on the website. We are going to work with the people that produce that and have it edited to take out the old machine, put in the new machine, and work on that. Anything else that we can do, we will do. And I share your concern. If you have a district that you know that is not going to work with the booths, let me know. Let me know now. I would really like to hear that from you right away, and not from someone walking in, assessing the site and saying, I think it'll work. Because you know the election.
Are you going to meet with the municipal chairs? Because they're the ones that know the districts, and they know what all the districts within their area of expertise. They could be able to provide that information to you.
That is a great suggestion, and I will do that. It's a great suggestion. I think the three offices would be happy to meet with them. We'll set up a schedule that we can bring them in, and that's a great suggestion. I thank you for that.
That's all.
Freeholder Cooper?
Thank you, Mr. President. Couple
I'm sorry,
questions.
Freeholder Mikado, are you done? I apologize.
Is this machine or company currently here in use in New Jersey?
We're the incumbent vendor for all of this. I'm sorry, I'm Nicole Nolet, Vice President of Operations at Dominion. Yes, we are the incumbent voting machine here in New Jersey.
The $3.8 million purchase, does that include the training, the cost for training the staff, as well as the outreach to the municipalities that other freeholders inquired about? Because I heard two different things. I heard training was included, but it wasn't clear if it was for the municipality part as well.
The current contract includes training for our staff and those people that we train. It's called Train the Trainer. Those people would then go out and train in the municipalities and other locations. So yes, training is included as a part of the contract.
Oh, excuse me. My next question is, my concern is, in a couple of my districts, there's a heavy senior population. And so switching from going to the box where they get to click and press their choices to now having to read the ballot, are there options for bigger print, bigger size print for them to read? Or is it just one ballot and that's it?
Right now, there's only one ballot, Freeholder. I'm sorry, Edna Ball, Superintendent of Elections, I apologize. There's only one ballot. But we will provide magnifying glasses for those people who need assistance with respect to larger print.
And will, you know, like how the system is now, if a person goes in, the person who's at the booth who takes the ticket is often able, you know, to explain some things if a person has a question. Will that process still be in place since you're now converting down to like individual little kiosks for people to grid in?
There will still be poll workers available to answer questions from voters. If a voter needs assistance, there will be poll workers available to assist them.
All right. So magnifying glasses are going to be inside the boxes that you send.
They will be available. I can't tell you as I stand here this moment, Freeholder, how they're going to be there, but they will be available at the polling place for anyone who needs it.
Okay. Thank you.
Freeholder's additional questions or comments? Freeholder Luciano,
I
please.
just want to put on the record, you know, this is a $3.8 million contract, not a $300,000 contract. And I have met with those departments 3 times along with the vendor. So I just was a little concerned that some of the freeholders here tonight are voicing concerns about something that, at least me as a freeholder, has been given ample opportunity to ask all my questions, to see the machine, to use the machine. So I just want to put that on record that I have been totally vetted. So if I sit here quietly, it's because all of my questions have been answered, and I want to thank the department heads, and I want to thank the vendor, and I want to thank you, Freeholder Guild, for setting all that up. And that's really it.
Thank you. First and foremost, I want to thank the citizen advocacy on this issue. I really want to give special recognition to it tonight. This was an issue that was identified for this board and for this county by and large through the work of citizens who took their own time to take an interest in our democratic process and in the safety of our democracy, and educated at least me on this issue, and I'm very pleased to see that I think we're taking a big step in the right direction to ensure the safety and security of our election process. Utilizing machines that require signed paper ballots, that have optical scanners, that have verified paper ballots. And I remember the first information session that was put together at the request of some of those advocates that included representatives from some of the leading representatives in election security across the state and in this country to come in and educate us. So I just want to again thank them for all of that work. I do think through you, Mr. Jackson, that while I'm very, very pleased to support this tonight, and I think there has been ample opportunity, I think we should also mention that these machines were used in a couple of election districts in our past election. They have been demonstrated to members of the board, demonstrated in certain capacities to members of the public, and it sounds like we definitely have a consensus on the board to support this. There are a variety of issues around education and implementation that I have serious concerns about that have been put on the record tonight, and would request through you, Mr. Jackson, that anyone who has anything to do, whatever department it is, whether it's in the Board of Elections, the Superintendent of Elections, the County Administrator's Office, put our vendor, come together, produce one document that's going to explain to the members of the board how the different offices intend to implement this change. So whether we're talking about education, outward education, meaning education of our county committee members, I heard a great idea about meeting with our municipal chairs, about a certain amount of community forums, what kind of third-party groups we should be partnering with. It was mentioned during public comment that this was implemented in New York. We should be looking at best practices and what did New York do. We should be looking at what New York did to implement this. But I would very much like to see one document with the input of the Board of Elections, the Superintendent of Elections, the clerk's office, you name it, whoever has anything to do with an election in this county that can contribute to what is going to be a major change. I think that would be helpful, and a time frame around that. Because I've heard testimony tonight that we would attempt to utilize the school board elections, the nonpartisan elections in May, which I, for one, think is pretty ambitious. I would hope we can meet that deadline. So we would actually have a couple of elections to see how this process worked. But I do think that's extremely ambitious. So I'd like to see as fast as possible what the outreach plan is, and also, do we need more help? So because I think we need potentially additional help and implementation, and and I'm not sure how we can potentially go about doing this, but I'm going to put it on the record tonight that I would like to see potentially maybe Mr. Parlavecchio way to us work with the administration to maybe embed someone full-time in whatever the appropriate offices is to work on this particular piece. So and that's no reflection on the people who have the responsibility. I just think the more help the better, and particularly on all the outreach that must happen as a result of this contract.
Understood, Mr. President. And just so you know, Superintendent Baugh and Deputy Superintendent Spango are working on a position for what we would call a project manager, who would come in and do exactly what you said. And also, too, our Assistant County Administrator, Ms. Pintor-Marin, is going to be the point person for the administration to ensure that the coordination is going on between the entities that you discussed. So we're on the same page, and we'll work on that document that you requested.
Okay. And thank you, Mr. Jackson, and particularly in the area of to go back to board worker training as well. And I think actually, in my opinion, this machine in many ways is easier to operate than the current machines that we have now. But there's a perception that right now, I believe that we would have some issues, seeing that many of our bird walkers tend to be senior citizens and folks who are retired, and I don't want to make a generalization, because there's an assumption that the technology experience may or may not be there. I happen to think that this machine is actually easier to use than the current machine that the board workers have to use now. But I think that education component is critically important to me. And I can just give you an anecdotal observation. One of the things that I didn't anticipate when you go to paper ballots is when you have a flooding of a polling location, there's actually an ability to move a little bit quicker with these machines, because you're not standing on a line, so to speak. But if you are standing on the line, your ballot actually is in a sleeve.
Correct.
Right, because the ballot is open. I actually think that's like something that would be that will be a new part of the process, right? Everything else in part of the process is like somewhere to look at the ballot, to fill out the ballot, to wait on a line. Even putting that simple ballot in the sleeve, to making sure that we're protecting the integrity of that process and the education around that process is critically important. So all that being said, looking forward to more feedback from you. I think we have a couple more questions that'll come to, but very, very pleased with what we've seen tonight, and want as much communication possible back to the board about what is needed, for the best possible successful implementation. I know Freeholder Cooper and then Freeholder Siebel.
Thank you, Mr. President. I actually was going to ask just what you just said, feedback back after the April election, to see what are the gaps, what are the barriers, and what other resources are needed so that we can improve as we go forward to build towards the November election. I happen to agree with everything Freeholder President said, that I do think more staffing is needed. And like you said, we know our communities, and we can make those connections, or whatever it is that you need, with the local chairs, with the local elected folks, to help get the word out and help you educate, so that it's a smooth process when people do come to the polls, that they understand that there's new machines and the things that have to be done.
Freeholder Siebel.
I have a question. There were 2 pilot programs which were conducted in Montclair with this machine. Were there any problems that arose from those pilot programs?
Edna Ball, Superintendent of Election, through you, Mr. Chair. The pilot that was held with this machine in Montclair, we took, I won't say a scientific survey, we took a fairly informal survey from the voters, and I would say 95% of the responses were positive with respect to ease of use, using the machine, the ballots, et cetera.
So you didn't have any problems?
No problems.
With either pilot program?
With this machine, we didn't have any problems at the pilot.
And I would just add that my son lives in Brooklyn, and he's been voting for quite a while on this machine without any problem at all. It's been working fine. Thank you.
Okay. Freeholders, additional questions or comments?
I'll move it.
I've moved by Freeholder. Oh, sure, Mr. Carlovecchi, I'm sorry.
Mr. President, just a process comment. You can see, and the board can see, how hard the constitutional officers and departments have been working to get this prepared for today's agenda and to have the board act on it. During the last leadership meeting, when this was first discussed, we hadn't yet received a contract from the vendor that was acceptable, and Mr. McInerney and I have been working with County Council on this to make sure that happens. I know County Council and the Superintendent have received a contract now, and there's just a couple of edits that have to be made. So at this time, I can certainly recommend, based on the condition of that contract, that we can move forward on this with the authorization of the $3.8 million. It's my understanding that through County Council that once the contract is finally signed, they will bring that back before the board, which is satisfactory to me, and I'm comfortable recommending that the board authorize the amount of funding. Because part of the issue is timing, so we want to make sure that these machines are ordered, certainly, and up and running for April. On the flip side, we have to make sure that the county is adequately protected from a contractual standpoint. So I think now that we've received, that County Council has received that contract, I think it's satisfactory, and those edits can be made without too much concern from this board.
Okay. Freeholder Cooper?
Thank you. What's the timeline for delivery if we approve this today?
Of delivery of the machines?
Yes.
I don't know the answer.
The timeline is to have the machines delivered as soon as possible, but so that A, we can start training, and B, so that we have enough machines to use them in the April school board election.
So what does that mean exactly? Because we're in January right now. April is, 3 months away, give or take? So do you expect to have these in March, February to start training on them?
This is Nicole Nolet from Dominion. We have the training units available immediately, so we can get that process started, while we have the supply chain engaged to have the number of units for the April and then the subsequent election. So the training units are available immediately to get that going.
All right, thank you.
We have assurances tonight from the vendor about, assisting in this outreach that will need to happen. Is this something that we believe needs to be included in the contract?
Ms. Gassion?
It is.
Good evening, Courtney Gassion, Essex County Council. Mr. President, in fact, one of the components of the contract is setting forth comprehensively the training that will take place. How frequently that training will take place, what elections it will apply to, the number of elections it will apply to, on-site personnel during elections while we have this rollout during 2020. So those are all components of the contract, and why we think it's critical that this contract be in place, and why we want to bring it back to you for ultimate approval. But that will all be delineated in the contract.
Okay. Would there be an opportunity to or if we create an outreach plan, do we need to have language in the contract that the vendor agrees to work with the county to on this implementation? So I mean, is the general language broad enough? And I asked that question saying I appreciate what the vendor has testified to tonight, and know that they have a deep roots in Essex County, so we know where you live. So if it doesn't work out, but I just want to make sure that it's the recommendation that we can craft language that we will be able to, if there's any discrepancies with the vendor, enforce elements of the outreach plan that have been highlighted here tonight.
So again, Courtney Gassion, Essex County Council, that will be the purpose of the training language within the contract, and I think that language is going to be born from what I think will be more extensive conversations between the election-related offices and the vendor to just clarify and nail down exactly what that training and rollout is going to look like. Because to me, that is one of the, if not the most important component of this agreement with Dominion is how this rollout's going to happen with their assistance. So I think it's going to take some additional conversations, but I do anticipate that it's going to be, again, set forth in the contractual language.
Okay. Okay. I would also, I'm sorry, Mr. McInerney, did you have?
Mr. President, just so I'm clear on this, the contract is still subject to change, correct?
In its current form?
Yes.
Yes. I only received my first draft yesterday. I've made some edits, as has Ms. Bao, which we will get back to the vendor first thing tomorrow. And then I assume there's probably going to be some back and forth between both the county and Dominion as we work through those edits. But I am confident that the changes that we are seeking and the additional components we want to include that address the training is things that we're going to be able to work through with the vendor.
Okay. Are any of the material terms of the contract as well as the cost of the contract going to change?
No, it will still remain in the 3.8 million.
And that's the not to exceed, so.
That's correct.
One of the other questions I have is that if you add up all the components of the contract, of the cost proposal, it exceeds $3.8 million. So I'm not sure how that plays out. I know there's some annual charges in there, but again, if you add up the cost proposals as they're outlined in the proposal that we received, it comes to well in excess of $3.8 million. So I'd ask you to look at that again too, in the case that that might have to be amended.
Some of the additional charges you may be referring to, Mr. McInerney, do relate to year 2 of the contract. So the 3.8 million is for year 1, which is the rollout phase, obviously. As we start year 2, which would be 2021, there may be the additional costs that have been referred to in the RFP that you've looked at that has the pricing pages attached.
But aren't there some optionals in there too that could apply to year 1 that might put it over 3.8?
They wouldn't be built to 2021.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Again, Mr. Chair,
Yeah,
I'd like to move the contract.
Thank you, Brother Luciano. There was one other, before we move to that. The comments that have been raised, I would just ask my colleagues to please submit any recommendations or concerns directly to the freeholder clerk. And the freeholder clerk will work with the administration to make sure that it goes to the right place. So anything that you think should be included, both whether it be in the outreach, anything that was highlighted tonight. It would be great to get all that in one place and communicate it as fast as possible. So please make those recommendations. Please, in writing, submit those to the freeholder clerk directly. Could we have a motion on the floor? Freeholder Luciano, mover. Second by Freeholder Primaris. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Siebel.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson, absent. Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Cooper.
I want to clarify before I vote. This is for the purchase of the machine for a 1-year contract, right?
Just
Oh,
purchase
just probably
the
like a-
machines.
Just to purchase
Just
the
to
machine?
This is to appropriate the $3.8 million, which would
Okay.
purchase the machines.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Okay, thank you. All right, thank you. Thank you. Moving to resolutions number 3 through 5, which we can read into the record at a later time. Mr. Jackson.
Risk Manager Walker is here to address this item, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Actually, 3 through 5.
Good evening, President Gill, Vice President Richardson, Freeholder Board, Tim Walker, Director of Risk Management. I am here with our insurance broker, Brian Erlinson from BGIA. Come up. The first two resolutions that we seek approval for involve the Essex County Correctional Facility. The first one is for a one-year policy for the commercial property insurance. It is with the incumbent carrier, Affiliated FM. If I could back up for a second, the insurance submission was sent out to 16 carriers this year. We are facing a severely hardened property insurance market. As a result, the overwhelming best response we got was from the incumbent with an increased total premium of $55,624. That's the increase, bringing the total premium to $438,208, which represents a 14.5% increase. We seek approval to renew. Are there any questions?
Okay, Mr. Parlavecchio.
Mr. Walker, I know you just mentioned the increases in the premiums. I think in prior year, at least last year, and maybe the year before, the increases were not as substantial as
Yes.
this. Is there some market condition or
Yeah.
local condition that's led to this?
It's the market in general. You've heard of a global economy.
Sure have.
The insurance market is global as well, and if you look at the natural disasters that have hit our world in the past 2 years, whether it's fires, floods, hurricanes, bomb, typhoons, cyclones, the works, we're in unprecedented state right now. As evidence for that, the number 2 proposal represented a $198,000 increase. So we were very fortunate to stay with who we are.
Thank you.
Should I jump to number 2? Or?
Yeah, please, thank you.
Okay. We are also seeking approval to renew the correctional facility's excess flood coverage. Again, it is with the incumbent carrier, in this case, Westchester Surplus Lines. We're looking at an increase of $4,339, represents a 10% increase, total premium not to exceed $47,733. Did I put everybody to sleep?
Number 5?
It's getting late, I know.
We're wrapped in voting.
It's too early. No, you're not putting, actually, with some international news, which I just think us all had us a little bit.
Yeah, I was
distracted.
watching it earlier.
So,
Very sad.
yeah, so it's, number 5.
Oh, okay, number 5,
Yeah.
we are seeking a 3-month extension for the county's third-party administration claim management services for the county's liability insurance program. We are seeking this extension as we put out a competitive bid for that service.
Okay. All right, so I think Ms. Parlavecchio, 3, 4, or 5?
Just a question on 5.
Sure.
Mr. Walker, the third part, the extension on the third-party administrator. There's a per-month cost for these 3 months, and it's based on last year's annual cost.
Yes, sir.
That's not an increase.
Not an increase at all.
That's
They kept
okay.
it at
So
the
they
same
just
amount,
kept
of
keeping
course.
that
Yeah.
cost. Okay, thank you.
Okay, Mr. McInerney?
The contract extension with Versco, did I,
In Servco.
in Servco, did that go up for a new bid? I had a note here for the leadership.
There is a competitive bid that's out right now, yes. And the reason
this
we're
is-
asking
this
for
is
the
just a-
extension
This is
is.
just an extension.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Do we see that the vendor's with us? I don't know if the vendor wants to add anything.
Sure. Brian? Good evening, Brian Earlson, Vice President, Business and Governmental Insurance Agency. Also a resident of Essex County, and I'm looking forward to using the voting machine. Just to augment what Mr. Walker had mentioned, the last several years have experienced historical losses in both the U.S. and worldwide. The market is making corrections at this time, and in addition to general characteristics, there are also individual characteristics for locations. This renewal tracked pretty closely with the June renewal, you may recall, for the other properties. There's been some unfortunate claim activity, and that, of course, affects the overall negotiating power and the rates that are outcoming. Thank you. Any questions?
Freeholders, questions or comments on resolutions 3 through 5? Do I have a mover?
So moved.
Moved by Freeholder Mercado.
Second.
Second by Freeholder Palmaris. Roll call. We're taking numbers 3, 4, and 5.
Freeholder Cooper.
Yes.
Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson, absent. Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Palmaris.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson, absent. Freeholder Sebo.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Okay, moving to resolution number 6, which we can read into the record at a later time. Mr. Jackson.
I'm sorry, I was distracted.
No problem.
I apologize. I'm sorry, we're number...
Number 6.
Yes, sorry, Mr. Durkin is here to address these items. And the vendor.
Chris Durkin, Essex County Clerk. The Essex County Clerk's Office produced a request for proposal for all needed printing and materials for elections covering the 2020 and 2021 election cycles. That RFP was downloaded 37 times from the portal. We received one proposal from Reliance Graphics, an Essex County-based company, a family-owned company which reside in Essex County. This proposal is for all needed election materials. It includes all ballots, sample ballots, vote-by-mail ballots, emergency ballots, provisional ballots, election day ballots, all needed envelopes, postage, signage, letters. And we have two major changes that are due to the increase in this printing proposal. The two increases are vote-by-mail ballots, which just 4 years ago, we had 10,000 requests for vote-by-mail ballots. Today, it is 40,000, and that is before a presidential primary and a presidential general. And that just is not the vote-by-mail ballot. That is the envelopes that are contained in that ballot and the postage to and from. And I will commend Freeholder President Gill, who recommended the return postage for voters so that they do not have a poll tax when voting, because it's an equal option to vote, voting at the polls or voting by mail. Also, it's an increase in ballots, election day ballots. And currently, with these electronic voting machines, we deploy 600 voting machines around the county, 550 districts, and each machine has a ballot, one ballot on it. Now, with an election, take for instance the primary or the general election, we have 532,000 voters. By law, we need to have 110% of those voters we need to produce ballots for, 110%, which is approximately 585,000 paper ballots, from 600 to 585,000. So those two major increases, are, to be dealt with this new voting machine. Also, the vendor, Reliance Graphics, has experience in this new endeavor here in Essex County. The vendor handles Montgomery County in Pennsylvania, which has purchased this voting machine and has already had, I think, 3 or 4 elections with paper ballots, human-marked paper ballots. It's about the same size, 500,000 registered voters, 450 voting districts. So I feel that this proposal is an extremely competitive proposal, and I have here with us Bob Federley, who is the president of Reliance Graphics.
Thank you, Chris. Bob Federley, Reliance Graphics, a resident of North Caldwell in the 4th District. Chris's office, with your new voting machine, is taking on a tremendous amount of responsibility. The new voting machines will cause his office to be in charge of getting these election day ballots printed, proofread, scanned, to be tested before they go out to vote. So his office and getting these ballots set up, and these vote by mails, Chris is being very shy. I'm projecting in his office will be processing 130,000 mail-in ballots this year between the municipal elections, the school elections, the primary, and the general. So it's quite a bit of envelopes, quite a bit of postage, and it's a big year, and it's a lot of work going into it. So I'd be happy to take any questions.
I have a question.
Freeholder Mercado.
This question, I'm not sure if it's for Chris. The ballot, it's in Spanish and English, correct? Is there any other language that it's going to be? Is there any other languages, or is just that's the only 2 languages?
Not as of yet. The federal government usually mandates that. It's usually a percentage in the district of different languages spoken. So Spanish, we are mandated based on the percentage, and I think more than half the districts in the county to have English and Spanish. Also, just to add that it's a little subjective, the pricing of the ballots, because we're not sure exactly how big the ballot is going to be based on the number of candidates, ballot questions. So when this proposal was put together, there's a 14-inch ballot, an 18-inch ballot, a 21-inch ballot. So depending on, the size of the ballot, that could differ in cost, but we compensated for that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Palavecchio.
No questions.
Mr. McInerney. Freeholders. Questions or comments? Do I have a mover?
I'll move it.
Moved by Freeholder Mercado. The second?
I'll second.
Second by Freeholder Luciano. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Sebo.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson, absent. Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Cooper.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. Moving to resolution number 7, which we can read into the record at a later time.
Mr. Zates.
Joshua Zates, Essex County Parks. Resolution number 7 is a contract not to exceed $95,000 with Central Nebraska Packing for furnish and deliver supplemental frozen live animal food for the Turtleback Zoo. This is a 1-year contract. It is, as the contract stated, frozen live animal food mainly for the carnivores throughout the Turtleback Zoo. Same vendor we've used numerous times in the past.
Okay. Mr. Palavecchio.
No questions.
Mr. McInerney.
No questions.
Freeholders.
Move it, Mr. President.
Second.
Moved by Freeholder Pomares, second by Freeholder Cooper. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Cooper.
Yes.
Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson, absent. Freeholder Luciano, absent. Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Sebo.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Moving to resolutions number 8 and 9, which we can read into the record at a later time. Mr. Jackson.
County Engineer Varghese is here to address these items along with the vendor for number 9.
Sanjeev Varghese, County Engineer. Resolution number 8 is we are requesting for a change order to a collision repair contract we have. That was a not to exceed contract on an as needed basis we had, We put an arbitrary number not to exceed $205,000. However, there was a large number of repairs done by other agencies, sheriff's officers. They had large number of vehicles, they had accidents, and we need to extend that contract. The arbitrary limit we set, $25,000 to another 20% maximum. And that's a request for a change order of 20%. That's amount is around $41,000. Resolution 9 is for a professional services contract with Matt McDonald. This is to design a rehabilitation of a bridge, Dougal Place in West Colwell, which is off Fairfield Road. It's to design the bridge and go through the construction phase.
Okay. It's probably, oh, sorry, go ahead.
We have we have Terry Corner from Matt McDonald here. They have done several projects with us. They're one of the largest consulting firms in the state. If you have questions.
Sure. Can you hear from the vendor, please?
Gerard Cronin with Mount McDonald. We'll be working with the county to design the replacement for the Dougal Place Bridge in West Caldwell. It's a relatively small bridge. We've done this type of project many times, and we've worked with the county for many years, and we look forward to working with the county.
Thank you. Mr. Parlavecchio?
No questions.
Mr. McInerney?
No questions.
Freeholders on number 8 and 9. Questions or comments? Moved by Freeholder Pomeroy, there second by Freeholder Graham. Roll call, Madam Clerk. No, she actually was soft, but came through.
It wasn't me, it was McCall.
Oh, I'm sorry. But I said Freeholder Graham.
Denise Pamars?
No, I said.
I'm sorry, I heard Pamars.
Yeah.
For the record, I didn't move or second anything.
No. I didn't say, I'm pretty sure I didn't say your name.
All right, so,
I said moved by Freeholder Cooper and second by Freeholder Graham.
okay.
What if I didn't? That's what I meant to say.
Presidential privilege, right? Freeholder Cooper. Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano absent. Freeholder Johnson absent. Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Siebel.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Okay, thank you. Moving to resolution numbers 10 through 11, you can read into the record at a later time. Mr. Jackson.
Item 10 is from the Office of the Sheriff, Mr. President. It's a contract with AutoClear for $40,000. This is for repairs and parts for our magnetometers and x-rays as people are coming in and out of the complexes. And the second one, item number 11, with PMC, is for an upgrade to the dispatch center for the Sheriff's Office. Item 12 is pretty much a ministerial change. Money's already been allocated, previously inserted in our budget, but the state wants specific language in the agreement and separating out some components. So this is essentially redoing something ministerial to provide in the format that the state wants.
Okay. Mr. Parlavecchio, 10, 11, and 12. We'll read 12 with the record at a later time. 10, 11, or 12.
No questions.
Mr. McInerney.
No questions.
Freeholders, questions or comments? 10, 11, or 12.
Motion.
Moved by Freeholder Cooper, second by Freeholder Graham. Roll call, Madam Clerk. Number 10.
Freeholder Siebel.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano absent. Freeholder Johnson absent. Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Cooper.
Yes.
Freeholder Gill.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Thank you. Yes.
So moved.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Moving to resolution number 13, which we can read into the record at a later time.
Carl Hunt, Chief Information Officer. As we improve the technology and information services for Essex County, it will move us to make sure and take care of our employees. So this is to make sure that we paying our employees on time, and also to make sure we cut down on the errors.
Okay. Mr. Carlavecchio?
No question.
Mr. McInerney?
I have no question.
I have a question, and I know it was not able to address in the last leadership meeting. So is this the same vendor that currently is handling?
No, this is an improvement on the current vendor.
Okay.
We're having several issues with the
Current vendor. So we're switching out vendors?
Yes, yes.
Okay, because we've had a lot of testimony and outreach from employees about issues with the payroll.
Correct.
System.
Correct.
Okay.
And this is actually the vendor that Montclair uses right now, so we know they've been using it for a while, so, and they're very happy with them.
Okay, so we ended the.
No, we'll start working on this. It's going to take us probably about a year to implement it, so it's not something that we can just switch over instantly.
How much was the contract for the last vendor?
The last contract was roughly around the same. It was $220, I think it was, right?
Okay.
But actually, it's not an increase to our budget expenditure, because when we're using the HD system, we're actually paying $374,000 a year,
Okay.
plus another $20,000 per month for maintenance for that payroll system. So this is actually reducing our costs over the last 2 years.
And what was the length of term on that last contract?
2 years.
2 years.
Yes, so it finishes in September of this year, September, October of this
So
year.
September, October of
Yeah.
2020. Okay. So then there wouldn't be, so you won't be back. This contract would run concurrently
next
with
2
that
years,
contract,
yeah.
but then take us through
2021.
full
22,
calendar year
yeah.
2021.
Yeah. 22.
And then at that point in time, probably just renegotiating I'm assuming that the contract is then lower because then we're just doing.
Yeah, it will be lower because this is part of the implementation phase, the conversion phase, yes. And the system will also be tied into our all the various systems that we have right now, the MSI system for the
Right.
finance, and it will also tie it into the HR system, as well as the current time and attendance.
So it'll be integrated with the current, or with the relatively new card system that we're using to track.
Correct.
Time and attendance.
That's correct.
What specifically would this system do what would this system do that the current system is inadequately
Not
doing?
capable of?
Yeah.
For one, this system is capable of handling actually we are using part of this system today, right, to handle our retirees. The current system wasn't able to handle our retirees.
Mhm.
That's one of the reasons why we were able to get out of the contract for that capability. This also the current system cannot be tied to the HR system that we're currently using, so that's another part of it. And then a lot of the pieces that we use today are manual inputs into the current system that we use. Where this right now that we're testing, we can actually feed everything in automatic. So it's easier for the payroll folks to actually use this system versus the current system that we're using today.
Okay. Are they here tonight?
No, they're not here tonight.
Okay. Mr. Parlecchio?
I don't have any questions.
Mr. McInerney?
Yes, is there, since there was some issues with the previous system in terms of, I guess, payroll information, and now you're changing to a new system, is there any sort of reconciliation process that has to take place to alleviate the problems that you have, or to reconcile the differences that might have occurred because of the inaccuracy of the first system?
Yes, so we are going through it right now, the end of the year, so we have just actually completed it right now. So one of the things that we're using is the current dump we're going to use to move forward into the new system. And by the way, this is on state contract, that's why the vendor is not here today.
And again, was that something you had to do manually, or?
Correct, it had to be done
Did you
manually.
reconcile those issues?
Yes.
Yeah, I figured. All right, thank you. Thank you, Carl.
Okay. Okay. Freeholders, additional questions, comments? Do I have a motion? Moved by Freeholder, moved by Freeholder Mercado, second by Freeholder Graham. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Siebel.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano, absent. Freeholder Johnson, absent. Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Cooper, absent. Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Moving to Resolution 14, which we can read into the record at a later time.
Mr. President,
Sure.
Julius Coltree, purchasing agent. We are joining the Bergen County Co-op, which will allow us to buy goods and services that they provide rather than going out to bid for some particular products, such as magnetometers that are on their co-op. This is a 5-year membership at no cost to the county.
Okay. Mr. Parlavecchio?
No questions.
Mr. Jackson? Excuse me, Mr. McInerney?
No question, Mr. President.
Freeholders?
I'll move it.
Freeholder Richardson? Vice President Richardson?
Through you, Mr. President, there was some information that I asked for in leadership in terms of minority participation and how many smaller and local companies are involved. Did I get that information?
I was not aware of it. I wasn't at leadership on that particular day, Mr. Vice President.
Yes, I can, Mr. Vice President. Mr. Hunt is working on that data. It's a little bit harder to pull than we originally anticipated because some of the co-ops and even the state doesn't keep the data the way you might think it is, so he's collecting that, and you should get it shortly.
Thank you.
Okay. Additional questions or comments, Freeholders? Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Moved by Freeholder Siebold.
Second.
Second by Freeholder Mercado. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Cooper, absent. Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson, absent. Freeholder Luciano, absent. Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Siebel.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. Moving to Resolution Number 15, which we can read into the record at a later time.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Imhoff from the Prosecutor's Office is here to address this item.
Mr. Jackson, I'm going to make a special request. Next time we have anyone from the prosecutor's office, they should go first.
Good evening, Roger Imhoff, Chief Assistant Prosecutor, Essex County Prosecutor's Office. This resolution is for an extension of a lease at Winona's house, the Child Advocacy Center. It's part of the, it's a 3-year extension of the lease. Currently, we have approximately 40 Essex County employees there, comprising of assistant prosecutors, detectives, forensic interviewers, as well as clerical there. For those of you who are not familiar with the Winona's house, I think all the freeholders are, it's a team approach there. The DCP&P is there. We are there. We collaborate with all the providers of services. Basically, the idea behind that is for children of sexual abuse, they can go there, and it's a one-stop shopping. They get the services all there. They don't have to go to the prosecutor's office and then be transported to a different location. Everything can be provided there, and then in that allows us to interact and work closely with our partners and provide the best services for the children. So it's a model that's being implemented throughout the country. They're actually up for a reaccreditation this year, and it should go successful. They're in the middle of their application. That's Winona's house. And we're part of that process, and we'd like to be a part of it going in the future. So I'd ask you to approve it. Thank you. I can answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Mr. Parlavecchio?
I don't have anything to add.
Mr. McInerney?
No questions.
Freeholders?
I'll move, Mr. President.
Moved by Freeholder Pomares, second by Freeholder Mercado. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Sebo.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano, absent. Freeholder Johnson, absent. Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Cooper, absent. Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. Moving to Resolution 16 through 24. Commendations. Resolution, memoriam resolutions. Do we have a mover?
Move it.
Second.
Moved by Vice President Richardson. Who was the second, Madam Clerk?
Mercado.
Okay, second by Freeholder Mercado. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Cooper, absent. Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson, absent. Freeholder Luciano, absent. Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Sebo.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you. Reports of board committees. Legislative reports. Written communication. Unfinished business. New business. Okay, public comment. Let's go to public comment, Madam Clerk. If there's any member of the public who would like to comment on any matter, please come to the microphone, state your name, address, and affiliation for the record. You will have 3 minutes to speak. What's that? Oh, well, it needs to be reflected, actually, yeah.
Matt Dragon, West Orange. First, just an announcement. The New Jersey Attorney General's office is holding 3 community listening sessions on the topic of youth justice in New Jersey. They're seeking input from the communities most impacted by the youth justice system in New Jersey. The meeting in Newark is this Thursday, January 9th from 6 to 8 p.m. It's at Behringer High School at 90 Parker Street, and residents can register to make public comments online at nj.gov/OAG/youthjustice. And I hope you can share this information with your constituents to make sure the public gets a chance to have their voices heard on this extremely important topic. I have a few questions requesting formal responses. The Star Ledger reported this week that 2 ECCF security guards, were charged with falsifying records after video evidence showed they hadn't done the rounds they reported doing. This highlights why it's so important that the task force be given timely and unimpeded access to video surveillance at the facility. Since it also highlights why the jail, its administration, and the county administration needed civilian oversight, I have 3 questions. How many resumes have been received seeking appointment to the ECCF task force? What are the racial, gender, and town of residence breakdowns of those applicants? And does the administration consider this a successful applicant pool, or will it be doing further outreach before the deadline? Separately, there's a well-publicized annual trip to Puerto Rico around the Super Bowl organized by County Executive Joe D. It is reported to be an exclusively male trip by invitation only. Attendees are reported to include New Jersey lawmakers, lobbyists, and robber barons like George Norcross. Is that trip happening this year? If it is, it seems obvious that municipal, county, and state business will clearly be discussed on this trip. So please provide a list of all the men who are expected to attend this year. And female leaders from the state must not have much voice in the conversations since they are not even invited. Given that, please provide a list of topics, legislation, and plans discussed during the trip so that the women from our state can weigh in once you return to New Jersey, which is 51% female. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, if there's no one left to speak, Madam Clerk, let the record indicate that there's no one wishing to speak at this time. Freeholders, do you have any additional comments you would like to make? Freeholder Mercado.
Yes, just for the record, I just want to take this opportunity to ask that you keep Puerto Rico in your prayers. They just recently experienced several earthquakes, one as late as early this morning, and it's anticipated that there may be others, and They're fearing for a tsunami as well and preparing for that. So I just ask the board, my colleagues, and those in the audience, just to keep the island of Puerto Rico in your prayers. Thank you.
Thank you, Freeholder Mercado. Freeholder Graham.
I just wanted to say thank you again to the freeholders for your support and your continued support. And I'm excited to be a part of this board. Thank you.
Vice President Richardson.
Yeah, I too just want to say thank you to my colleagues for having the confidence in me to keep me in a leadership as vice president for another term. I just want to thank you for your support.
Thank you. Freeholders, a motion to adjourn?
Move it.
Second.
Meeting adjourned.